In today's video, we are going to continue in our series on hypopressives for this hypopressive exercise. Rather than doing it standing up completely straight, we are actually going to bend over just a little and we're going to place the hands on the legs, so in a similar position to what we had done before, and we're going to take our inhalation and exhalation here. Then we're going to do another inhalation, and on the exhalation we're going to take the apnea and we're just going to hold in this position. So this is the a very traditional way to do this uddiyana kriya, slightly bent forward. So starting with an inhalation and an exhalation. Inhale again and exhale. We're going to exhale all the air out, then we're going to take our apnea. We're going to go one more time. Just remember, when you are finishing your apnea, before you take the inhalation, allow everything to come back to its starting position. So depress the rib cage, come back to the empty chest position. Okay, inhalation, exhalation. Inhale once more. Exhale, take the apnea. There we go. So you should have had a little feel for how that is to go into the apnea. We're now going to come down into a yoga squat. And what we're going to do is take the apnea in the yoga squat and then lift up the hips as we allow ourselves to fold forward. Now, this is quite a challenging move. So if hopefully you have been practicing these hypopressives exercises every week, and you'll start to be building quite a strong connection to your deep core. And when you take these hypopressives from the bent over, from the squatting position up to the bent over position, you're going to feel a little bit of a different pull between the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. So just explore this, see how it feels in your body. You don't have to straighten your legs. I actually want you to keep soft legs when you come into the folded forward position. And then you're going to bring the knees back down into the squat before you release the hypopressive. And it's quite strange squatting and doing a hypopressive because the pelvic floor is starting from a stretched position, so it feels a little bit like you're not quite getting it, but just try it and see how it feels. For me, I think this is quite an interesting version. So we start first, feet are a little bit wider than hip distance apart. The toes are pointing out just a little bit. We're going to come down into our yoga squat. So whatever way that is for you. If you need to, you can have a little blanket underneath your heels. So if your heels don't come to the floor, it's good to put something under there so that you can actually relax. And we're going to just bring the hands onto the floor. So a little bit like a Yin Squat, just let the head hang. And then we're going to take our inhalation, exhalation here. And don't worry about inhaling and exhaling from a collapsed chest. This is a pretty good exercise for the diaphragm. We're taking away all the accessory muscles of the chest when we're doing this breathing technique. So this is a really good way to make the diaphragm do its job. So let the head hang, let the chest be depressed in this position. You're going to take an inhalation and an exhalation. Allow the head to hang, inhale, and exhale, and take your apnea. And we're going to try that one more time. Now just do the movement of the lifting of the hips and the lowering of the hips with the apnea held, and then allow everything to come back to the starting position that you had before you began your apnea, before you re-inhale. I hope that makes sense to you. So let's go again. Let's find our Yin Squat. So the hands are down, the head is hanging, everything is kind of collapsed in. It's a difficult one to get an apnea in, but you will feel a little apnea and you'll feel a little bit more of a pull when you raise up the hips. So inhaling, exhaling,
Inhale again. Exhale for your apnea.
Okay, so that is our squatting version of doing an apnea. Now that can be a very challenging position to achieve an apnea, and then to be able to move with that apnea held. It's a different sensation in the pelvic floor than a lot of the standard asanas where you're standing or moving your arms or moving a leg. So in this case, you're actually moving the hips and you're changing the position of the diaphragm, taking it from being right way up to inverted. So this is quite a challenging version of these hypopressives.